Hello, everyone. This is Superannuated Starman, and I am your host, Sean Ryan. Today, I'll be joined by Chris Duerksen.
Yes.
Cory Braucks.
Yes, hello.
And special guest, Kyle Braucks. Kyle, thank you very much for coming on the show.
It's a giant pleasure. Thank you very much.
Before we get started, I wanted to correct something I said last episode. At the beginning of our Super Mario Kart episode, I said it was our 8th episode, when in actuality, it was episode 8. Today's episode is episode 9, which is actually our 10th installment of the show. It's a small milestone, but it's one that I'm proud of. Nevertheless, we'll be kicking things off with a brief history of the game. We're going to be covering Shinobi III: Return of the Ninja Master for the Sega Genesis. It's also known as Super Shinobi II in Japan. It was released on July 23rd, 1993 in Japan, a day later in Europe, and on August 22nd in 1993 in North America. It was developed and published by Sega. I searched for some development history on the game, and every bit of info that I found was just information that had been copy and pasted from the Wikipedia article. But going with the information that is available, the game was originally meant to be released in 1992. But due to Sega being unhappy with the final product, they decided to delay the game until the following year. And I would love to credit the directors, producers, and other people that contributed to the game, but I would butcher their names, so I'm not going to go ahead and do that. The gameplay in Shinobi 3 is similar to previous games in the series. It's a side-scrolling action game with platform elements. The main protagonist is a ninja by the name of Joe Musashi, codename Shinobi. Also, Shinobi literally means ninja, so I'm not sure why that's even a codename.
He's Joe Ninja.
Joe Ninja.
Yeah.
The player can double jump as well as perform a jump kick. He can slash his sword and throw kunai, which can be powered up after finding an item that's discovered within crates that can be destroyed. Lastly, he has 4 different ninjutsu powers: temporary invincibility, a fire attack that hits the entire screen, the ability to jump higher, and a self-destruct move that deals incredible amount of damage, but at the cost of one of your lives. The game is divided into 7 levels called rounds. Each round is divided into 3 parts consisting of 2 level segments that will often contain a mini-boss and then a boss fight. We're going to go in depth on each round, so I'm not going to really cover all that here. I couldn't find any sales data, but the game was extremely popular and is definitely considered a cult classic. It can be found on many of the best of Genesis and Mega Drive lists. This game was originally playable on the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive, but has since been re-released on several Sega Genesis collections, as well as the Wii's Virtual Console, Steam, the iPhone, the Nintendo 3DS as a Sega 3D Classic. It's available through the Nintendo Switch's Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, and it's also available on the Sega Genesis mini console. Alright, so that's a lot. But before we get started into our personal histories, let's take a quick break and listen to some great music from Shinobi 3. Stick around. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that music from Shinobi. When we get started on our childhood memories, Chris and I never actually owned this game, and we have never played it until Cory recommended it for the podcast. So I won't be participating in this segment, and Chris really won't be participating either. So, Kyle, in a previous episode, Cory had mentioned that the two of you used to play this game when you were both younger. What memories can you share with us of the game?
So growing up, we started out with the Nintendo. I think I was 4 or 5, and then we got the Genesis. And as a kind of bonus game for the Genesis, we got Shinobi 1. I think it was called Return of the Ninja Master or something like this.
I think that was
And it
the
was
second one, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, we got the original one.
Did we? Okay.
It was slow as hell, and Joe Ninja, jumped really slowly, and all the boss fights were garbage. In the third one, because I liked the second one, but I couldn't get through it. I think I was 7 or 8 when this game came out. I remember going to Toys R Us and going to the big glass area you get in the back of the Toys R Us with the games underneath the glass and going, Mom, that's the one. It's Shinobi 3. Because I had seen the advertisement in whatever bullshit magazine we were subscribed to at the time. And I just recognized the artwork. And I put it in, and you're faster. The levels go faster. You are faster. You can hit people with your sword by dashing. All sorts of cool stuff that the original didn't have, and I was really pleased with how the game worked out.
Cory?
Oh, sorry, I'm playing Shinobi. Yeah, like I literally am. It's a great game. I remember this was sort of like a fallback for us when we were kids. Kyle is definitely a much better Shinobi player between the two of us, but many an hour was spent on this title. You beat it before, didn't you, Kyle?
Yeah, that was one of the moments where I came down and went, dude, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
wait.
Did it?
Which one of you two are the older one?
Kyle's
I am about a year and a half older.
In video games terms, that's a big advantage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually died around the creepy brain monster boss. So like I very seldom got to, I think it's like round 4, start to get on the jet skis and stuff like that. But I frequently remember seeing you like get to the end boss where he like teleports around stuff.
Yeah, we could talk about the level design later.
Yeah,
for sure.
well, I mean, yeah, like as part of your childhood memories, like it's
yeah,
definitely...
no, the ghost boss me up constantly.
Yeah,
Ghost
so
boss.
yeah, like the last guy where he like kind of blinks around in every room.
You're talking about the end boss.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Which one are you talking about?
The temple boss.
Well, it's like the 6 rooms, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm with you. Okay.
Like the maze. Oh yeah, no, he's talking about where the whole level is like the maze, and you have to go through the right doors in the
You're
right
talking
order.
about round 6.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's the ghost temple.
I hated that level.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Everyone does.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So-
mean, this game is great. Like, you can jump around and do your little somersault in the air and throw daggers at people, and I did that a lot.
I didn't even check. Is there any co-op for this game or 2-player mode?
No, it's single player.
Oh, okay.
I gotta put this down though.
Did you ever take this over to your friend's house, or did they borrow it? Was this a community effort to beat the game, or is this just something that you both kind of worked on together to get to the end of it?
This was a work together. This was me doing it mostly, I think. Cory was more the Shining Force 2 guy. Or what else did you play really well, Cory?
Well, I mean, Ronald McDonald.
And Ronald McDonald was a community effort between him and I when we were both really
I beat
tiny.
Ronald McDonald several times. That game was great. But no, I mean, we did. This was definitely your title. Like I said, I could usually get to like the 3rd or the 4th round, and then I would, die a lot. But like I frequently remember kind of sitting there and watching him play this, and then like getting like really far to the end. And I don't think we've beaten it too often. I remember seeing him do it like once or twice, but for the most part, it's like you get to like the hoverboard or the installation where you're like jumping around where all the guys have guns and everything near the end. And then by that point, like we'd either get bored or we'd get up and go outside, or like school would get in the way.
How old were you guys?
Like 7.
Yeah.
So you were that perfect age where you could just chill next to your older brother. Watch him
killed
own a video game. Yeah.
This killed the summer basically. So
That was going to be one of my next questions, was how long did it actually take to beat this game? But
basically a summer.
asked and answered.
Yeah.
when you got this game and you had it in hand walking out of Toys R Us, did you tear it open in the car and just start diving into that manual?
Yep, absolutely. You could press C twice to somersault, dude. I knew that going in right away.
Yeah, I will admit, when I was playing this, I looked up the actual manual for the game to see like what I was doing wrong.
And we know that Sean didn't, because he didn't know how to use his jutsus until like the almost last fight.
Yeah. Press start and then move around and then press A. You get the one you need.
Yeah, it wasn't until I started complaining that they finally like kind of keyed me in on what I was doing wrong.
I was like,
But
use your
that's
magic abilities. Like, what?
That's all stuff I'm gonna talk about in our next segment when we talk about kind of replaying the game or experiencing the game today.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember this one. Like, it was very cool looking graphically. You know, it was a very like clear cut thing. You could see everything going on in it, and the box art for this was really cool too. Like, there was like the big 3, and it was kind of him standing there, and like you had like this like fiery look in the background.
Now, did Sega have oh man, Ninja Gaiden?
No,
Or
this was kind of a
Nintendo.
This was their
replacement for it.
version.
Yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit.
the box
yeah.
art reminds me of like, are they trying to rip off Ninja Gaiden or like not rip it off, but
No. Yeah. I understand what you're saying. It's a similar attitude, especially in the first game, where it's very slow, like Ninja Gaiden was, and it's very like you need to go across the screen and do hop jumps off the walls and stuff, and then dodge this and shoot this guy and then go over. But even in the original Shinobi, there was a verticality to it where you could keep going up and up and up, kind of like Sonic did, but you'd still get up by horrible stuff. Shinobi 3 just runs really fast and hits stuff with your sword if you can, and that's what was really fun about it.
Yeah, in 1989, that saw the introduction of Strider, which is another kind of Japanese-oriented ninja-type game. So this isn't anything new as far as like introducing ninja into the video game atmosphere.
Oh yeah,
for sure. And that's one thing. Yeah, and that was one thing I appreciate about like playing this. Like, it just reeked of like early '90s ninja, the whole ninja wave that was everywhere in the U.S.
I mean,
like
ninjas were the hotness, man.
3 ninjas, Ninja Strike Back. Like,
Yeah, I don't want to get off on the Ninja Turtles tangent, but
I didn't mention Ninja Turtles, but I knew you were going to.
Yeah,
Michelangelo, best turtle.
he's
Raphael.
not. He's
Raphael is so much better.
All right. Anyway,
If the Ninja Turtles had to do like we never
Break,
discussed this.
Break, you go too fast, you go too far, and he's gonna cut it. You got to just leave it there.
I'm just saying,
Okay.
if there's a fist fight between the 4 of them,
Stop.
Okay,
Raphael would
Right,
win.
anyway.
Chris, hold on to these thoughts because we're going to do an episode later on where we play the Hyperstone Heist, which is similar to Turtles in Time, and we can actually kind of compare what our thoughts were to that episode. But today we're talking about Ninja Joe or Shinobi Joe.
But it has the word ninja in it, which means we have to mention Ninja Turtles. That has to pop up
Anyway.
in every episode.
Anyway, let's so does Pizza Hut. We're contractually obligated. Anyway, so-
I haven't mentioned Scott Pilgrim in a while either. The game.
oh god.
Go on.
So, do you want to just end this segment here? We can go on to the modern play.
Yeah, Kyle and Corey, do you guys have any other memories that you want to share of the game that you remember from your childhood?
No, like I said, I think beating it for the first time on a big, gigantic wood framed TV
Man,
back in like 1996 or 97. Or when did this come out? Once again, I don't remember.
93.
There you go.
It
So
took you that long
94,
to beat it.
95. No, I didn't. It was a summer worth.
I wouldn't have
Plus-
blamed you because it took me a while.
I think it took me like a summer's worth, I think. But yeah, that's really a classic moment in my life.
That TV was very heavy.
It was very heavy.
When you finally beat the game, like, did you flip the TV over? Like, I'm done.
No, I couldn't pick it up. Go to the next one, dude. And we play Toe Jam and Earl again for the 88th time. and not win.
Oh, that's another game we need to talk about.
Does anyone understand how to play Toe Jam and Earl?
No,
you just get in
not
elevators.
A single person on Earth.
Yeah, it's very confusing. Anyway, but yeah, that was kind of just how our early days of this were. It was a lot of fun, like you're sitting in the living room, it's summer, and it's like 9 o'clock at night, and the sun's down, and you're hearing a guy go hop hop hop, do 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 do, and throwing shurikens at people.
Good stuff. Let's wrap up this segment, and we're going to listen to some more music from Shinobi 3. And when we come back, we're going to discuss what it's like replaying Shinobi 3 today on modern hardware in 2022. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We've had an opportunity to discuss what it was like playing this game in the early 90s, but now we're going to go ahead and revisit this game today and replay it and see what it's like playing Shinobi 3 for the Sega Genesis in 2022. We're going to break this up kind of round by round and discuss each one pretty thoroughly, but I'd like to start off literally with the beginning, the main menu. I felt that the pixel art of the main menu was really amazing. It was very, very detailed. There was a lot of options for you to choose from where you can determine the number of knives that you have, the kunai. You can start with a select number of those, as well as setting a difficulty mode, which can affect your health. There's also some codes that you can input for invincibility, and unlimited knives. What did you guys think about just getting to the main menu when you started playing this game? How did you feel about it?
I just set everything on default.
Oh, you didn't look around or anything?
Nope. I just started up and started playing.
I think we talked about this in a previous episode where you didn't check out the menus there either.
Yeah, it was Sonic 2.
Yo, yeah, yep, you didn't know anything about. You're like, what? You can not have tails? What's going on?
Yeah.
Fool, you foolish fool.
Well, start checking this out, man, because you see a lot more about the game, and really it shows that the developers put in extra time to add these things to affect how the game can be played.
Oh, yeah, totally.
He doesn't care at all. He's like, all right, game started. Let's go.
Just mash that button.
Press start.
I play it the way it's meant to be served.
I always start my game by turning up my shrinking count.
Yeah, definitely.
How do we say that word?
What, shrinking?
Shrinking?
It's shuriken.
I know how it's pronounced. So, okay.
Is that the Minnesota way to say it?
No, it's just a fun way to say it. Anyway, so I want to touch base real quick. So Sean did not know how to use his ninjutsus at all.
Yeah.
And he also didn't double jump. He's very bad at it. So let's talk about that.
Wait. Sean, you didn't double jump?
We can talk about double jumping very quickly. I remember starting to try to double jump in this game is kind of a chore before you realize you need to be pointed up in the exact frame for Joe Ninja to double jump. But once you get the timing down, it's pretty easy.
I still had a rough time with it. I mean, And by the time I got,
it's a very small window, but you can get it down pretty good.
Yeah, the way I started thinking about it, I'm like, oh, there's an invisible platform that I have to jump off of every time I jump.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Did you guys? Oh, go ahead, Sean.
No. You go ahead.
I was gonna also ask if you guys did any sort of kicking or running slashes, or did you use mostly shurikens?
No, I did a lot of running slashes.
Okay.
And a lot of the down kicks, because that really helps speed things along and kind of does it give you iframes or
I don't
does
know.
it just
it does?
Because I felt like I had an advantage when I was doing a lot of the down kicks, especially with the brains and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening and you don't know what iframes are invincibility frames. Those are where you perform a certain action in the game, or maybe you're hit by an enemy and you are temporarily invincible. Sorry, guys, I just want to include that in there.
No, that's vital information for the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what iframes are. I just saw people on Reddit saying it all the time.
Oh,
so I
did you?
just
Well, like the tip of his foot and his you can run through the first few levels of the game not getting hit just by abusing the animation of him swinging a sword or air kicking the entire time.
What?
So, for instance, at the big one is that the first boss, who's the big samurai with 4 swords, you could just keep dashing at him and cutting him, and then jumping over him over and over again. And his swing can't hit you.
I beat him.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I beat him.
His swing can't beat you.
You can also chain jump kick him in the air, and while
You
he's
can do that
blocking,
too.
you'll bounce off his sword repeatedly, and then when he finally opens up, you kick him in the face, and then he slides past you.
I just remember, that first boss, I was like, oh wow, this game is easy. Like I'm gonna have this thing nailed.
And by boss 2, you were not having it.
That strategy does not work on the second boss at all.
No, in my gratitude, I should give thanks to Cory because I don't know. I started talking to you right away when I started playing this game.
Oh yeah,
like,
there were
did you try down jumping yet?
Like,
I was like, what?
You're like, I don't know what it's doing anymore. I don't know how to do this. I'm losing a lot. I'm like, well, you gotta try this part.
But right away, you told me the trick about the double jumping.
The double jump,
the down kick
volley, is very, very good for killing multiple people.
So starting off, we have round 1, Zeed's Resurrection, which is the level that we're kind of talking about right now. And Cory, you were talking about developing that skill set of, jumping and moving around. It wasn't until I had heard Chris talking about it with you that I even knew there was a double jump in the game. So when I first started off the game after my playthrough, I practiced it a lot, but maybe it's because I was playing on a 3DS.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the port had anything to do with it.
I don't know, man, but I felt that getting that double jump down, which they call a Shinobi spin in the manual, I felt
it's just a double jump.
Incredibly difficult to pull off, at least on the 3DS.
No, it was difficult to pull off in Genesis too, because you have to. So there's a sound like you have to wait until the sound ends to him at the peak of his jump and then time it perfect. But it was difficult for sure, even for anyone to do it, because it took me a long time to figure out. Oh, you can just double jump all the time if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, when you get the rhythm down, you can do it pretty reliably, at least on the Genesis. And I mean, I played on the Steam port, so I didn't have too much trouble with it. But I could definitely see if you're playing on a port, it being an issue.
Yeah, it definitely was for me, but I wanted to play it that way because it was a different experience than most people are going to get. So I wanted to be able to add to the conversation about how I was playing it. You also talked about how you go through the first level, whether you were using your throwing knives or sword or jump kicking. I was using the throwing knives almost exclusively, and I felt like maybe I was playing the game wrong or incorrectly because it was, I don't know, kind of lame.
Okay.
Because I was just able to throw out knives and that was it.
Oh yeah, I mean the first level is very simple, but one of the nice things about the throwing knives is that they have ammo, And if you kind of burn through them early, like you're really starting to feel it by the second or third round, where you really don't have much left anymore.
Yeah, you're forced to fight up close at that point. So that's why you play the first round. You kind of learn how to fight up close to get the first round out of the way. And you can just do it. But once you learn how to air kick and do your sword slash, you could beat the entire first round without using a single shuriken. And then you get into, I think, the second level, and you could still progress through the game. And then until you get to beyond the bunker level, that's when you actually have to start using shurikens a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to round 2, like you can actually we'll get to this more when we actually talk about it, but I guess as a transition, like round 2 you start on a horse and you can actually do the air kick with the horse and just
or slash the enemies as they jump up.
And you can just do the downward kick with the horse and you just go whoa, whoa, and you just smash people in the face with your mount. And you don't have to use any ammo.
Yep.
Before we get to the horse part, though, can we talk back in round 1? You're talking about like the intro, the title screen stuff. One thing that caught my attention right away starting this game is just that first starting level when you're in that gorgeous forest, that 90s video game forest of awesomeness. I really like that art style.
Yeah, that's what I have in my notes, that the pixel art is extremely well done. It's very detailed and crisp. There's a lot of parallax scrolling going on, and especially you see that in round 2 when you are on the horseback. And it just visually, they took their time with this game.
Yeah. Like what other games came out in '93 that we can compare it to?
Okay, you
Manhattan
guys.
Project.
You guys keep talking, and I'm gonna Google that. I'm gonna Google Sega games that came out that
time. That's a good idea
Sega did have a leg up. It seemed like on graphics, and
I think at the same time this was one that stood out super hard against anything I had played at that point on that console, because it's so good.
Yeah, it really is. It really like. This is what 93 I would have been I'm bad at math. 9.
Okay.
And for 9 years old, like this game would have been just graphically just the best thing out there. Like
at the time it was mind-blowing. The entire presentation of the game was pretty incredible, I would have to say, as a little kid.
Yeah, I mean, for reference, like this is the year that we got like Disney's Aladdin.
It's a great game.
We got a great game, but it's also like very much a cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
It's not nearly as detailed. You had Sonic Spinball, which once again, like Sonic.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of are cartoony games. Like any game that was trying to be seriously artistic, or like kind of try to look comic booky or anything like that. I can't think of anything that holds a candle to this.
You really didn't have anything for comparison as far as like visually, I think.
Well, maybe separation anxiety, like the Spider-Man game or something.
I don't think that came out this year.
No,
I think it came out next year.
At the same time, I think a lot of games came out that were side-scrolly games, like Spider-Man, that didn't hold a candle. Oh, sorry, didn't hold a candle to this.
Yeah, I mean this game was just so tasteful, and like the art is just great on it. It really is.
So you already listed some of the games that came out in 1993 around that time. You mentioned Disney's Aladdin, whereas Gunstar Heroes also came out in 1993, which is an amazing game, but visually, I agree, it has that cartoony look to it that doesn't have that realistic pixel art that we see in Shinobi 3.
And Shinobi 3, I will admit, like in 93, I was really big into collecting comic books. And the artwork in Shinobi just totally reminded me something out of a legit comic book, not a cartoony kids game or.
And one of the things I will say is that all of the backgrounds and stuff they're all like interactive. Everything moves, everything has lights and effects to it. Like a lot of these games where you see like the foreground is really detailed, you'll see the background is more of a matte painting where it's kind of a static thing. Like when you ride the elevator in this game, like you see, the floors going up and you see stuff
Beeps and
happening in the
boops and-
background.
yeah.
Lights are going on, and it actually feels like the whole thing is moving with you.
That's a great point. And now we can move on to the next. Like speaking of that, like the horse stage, where you've got like 3 layers of what's that called? Where the background scrolls with you.
I think it's called
Parallax.
Yeah.
Parallax. Yeah.
So round 2 is secret entry, and like we mentioned a few times, it starts off with Shinobi Joe or Ninja Joe on horseback.
It's Joe Ninja, sir.
Joe Ninja?
Joe was my father. Thank you.
Yeah, the use of parallax scrolling really gives that illusion of depth with the grass and the clouds moving by at different speeds. Looks really, really good. And I like the fact that you can see in the background this large kite-like structure where the enemy are jumping out of it.
They literally jump out of it, and they come from behind you or in front of you. So you can time when they're going to show up based on how they jumped off the kite.
And how cool is it they're jumping out of a kite? I mean, like, come on.
Super cool.
Super Japanesey, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, the background's great. Like you see, like Sean was saying, like it's this big like storm in the background, and you've got like this water and all the reeds and stuff that you're running by. Like it's awesome.
And at the same time, in the first level, the first entire round, you're the first segment, I should say, you have to tap double forward to run. The horse is always running. So it's speeding you up and telling you, hey, you can play this game super fast if you want to.
Yeah, it definitely has that. It's an auto scroller for sure, but you're right that you can control that. So I don't even know how I define that. Auto scroller, but with a little bit of
speed control.
Yeah, speed control to it, which you don't really see in many of those early games.
Oh, just to rewind a little bit again before we get on like fully into round 2 here. Did you guys find the secret stuff in round 1 above your heads?
Maybe.
No.
So when you run through the cave system, there are 2 pockets above you where you can get an extra life and you can get an extra ninjutsu if you do the wall jump.
You told me about it right when I passed it.
Yeah, so there you go.
That continues for the rest of the game.
Yeah, there's always little pockets and stuff. Like I think in the pipe.
I found
levels,
a lot of them later on.
Yeah, like they really do utilize like the full range of the map in this game.
And this game is really good at a lot of games kind of like you'll see like an empty space that just kind of stands out and you're like, wait, there's something that's got to be over there. Like there's a reason there's that empty space, or there's a reason there's a gap between the pipes that I think I could jump over and grab that pipe over there. And this game is very good at rewarding those instincts because there are a lot of little secret lives and power-ups and stuff that you can get that are just off the main path.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
Which I love that about video games. Encourages you just to check everything out.
So we get to the horse, we get through that, and then at the end of the horse is the guy that rains down spears on you. And this is kind of the halfway point of the fight. How did that go for you, Chris?
I honestly I don't remember.
He was the ninja dressed in yellow.
Yeah,
he's he's the mini boss for round 2.
Yeah, he has a ghost behind him. He runs so fast. Yeah. So basically speaking, the entire gameplay
right.
rests on you having fire shuriken to bosses up, because that guy only takes like 3 or 4 or 5 hits if you hit him with the fire shuriken.
Yeah, and I will admit, like that boss I also thought was kind of easy because I was like, oh, you can just hit him in the air as soon as he jumps out, and then like I just that boss also I didn't struggle with at all. It really wasn't until the poop monster where I really truly started thinking this game was miserable.
Well, in round 2, we kind of shift away from that outdoor environment, and we're now in a factory where the gameplay shifts from this side scroller to a vertical auto scroller. And this is where I really should have practiced a little more, or I don't know why I didn't figure this out, but I got my first game over here because I was trying to master the double jump and get to those platforms without being crushed as the elevator is slowly moving forward. I didn't realize that you had to grab the freaking cables, and that's how you got up. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't figure that out, and that screwed me over later on in the game too.
So did you not realize that you could also hang off the ceiling of the cave?
Not until much later on in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, and this was my first hang-up spot where I, had game overs and ran out of. Did this game have continues? I can't remember.
I think it has.
This is the first spot where I had to start all the way over because there's a spot where the elevator is going up, and you had to near the top.
Near the top. Yep.
Jump around the ledge. And,
you have to double jump around the ledge.
Yeah, and then get back on.
And there's a guy right on that platform that shoots you with a machine gun.
Yeah, that was, and that was a part that frustrated me so much because I was like I would have kept playing except for the stupid controls of this game and the timing of the double jump. The double jump killed me here so many times.
Okay,
and that's the most frustrating thing with any game is it's not when the game beats you, it's when the controls beat you.
Yes, when the mechanics are harder.
So bad. Yes.
Yep, I'm with you 100% because I agree with you. I remember that exact spot when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and that spot killed me more than once.
And so it's so frustrating.
Yeah, right, it is. You had to replay the game like 3 times until you mastered it.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the entire idea of the whole game back in the Sega Genesis era.
And the worst part about it is that it's not 5 minutes into the game.
It's 15.
It's 15, 20 minutes into it. So you can't just practice it over and over. There's no level skip. There's no shortcuts. You can't practice that spot over and over. So by the time I got over there to the 7th time restarting the game, it became more of a mental challenge. Like my nerves were starting to get to me. And then I started forgetting how to double jump because I'd be so stressed out about getting the double jump where I forgot the timing of the double jump. And it's literally made me want to start throwing the controller. And
you have to be a ninja master, man.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to.
Like this game, the artwork is so cool and everything. And I did enjoy this game a whole lot up until this one point. And then afterwards, I didn't want to be negative coming to this podcast, but this game sucks.
I ranted about how much I hate Castlevania, so
Yeah, you did.
They keep hitting you in the face.
If this game if the double jump worked like double jumps did in any other game, which I mean, now granted, in '93, how many other games were there with double jumps? I mean, this was probably a fairly new idea, at least. Probably, I'm guessing. I don't know.
I don't know if it's necessarily a new idea, but it's certainly it's an essential in this game to have that mechanic. And I don't know of too many titles where it's like, okay, yeah, this isn't just a novelty; it's like a core component.
But in other games, you can literally you don't have to hit that second jump perfectly in the arc of your jump. Yeah,
you're not penalized if you miss it in Sonic, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, in Smash Bros. And everything, you can you can double jump as you jump in the air, and as long as you're falling anywhere in the air, you can jump again. You can decide when to. Yeah, you can decide when to get the double jump. In this game, it's right before the peak, and actually, I'll admit, I still. Is it right before the peak, or is it right after?
Just about at the peak, yeah.
Yeah, it's right as you're about to start falling again.
But
listen,
it's not,
I will get a Genesis and I will send it to you so you can compare if it's any better on the actual game instead of a port.
Oh, I didn't. Well, yeah.
We'll see if that changes your opinion on that.
I rented this from Blockbuster, so I did not play it on a port.
Okay, yeah, you went over to Blockbuster and got a copy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I have the Sega Mini, and I thought about playing it that way. But like I said, I wanted to get that, kind of different experience to the 3DS. But also, the 3DS port developed by M2, they have a level select that you can use.
Yeah. I actually played that one. It was pretty good.
Oh, I would have loved that.
Yeah,
I did not have
I
any
definitely
level
used
select or anything in this. This game was brutal.
I used the hell out of it so that I could go back and practice some of these areas that were just massacring me. And because I didn't have that understanding of the controls of the game. I don't know why. We've been playing games for over 30 years at this point. Like we know how to play video games, but
Listen, I know
like,
games, okay?
You
Yeah,
didn't rip,
the
you
very
didn't rip,
first
you didn't
thing-
rip open the box when you were a little kid and read the instruction manual.
The very first
Yeah,
thing I did when I played this game, as soon as the first level started, the very first thing I did was double jump, and then the very next thing I did was throw a wave of knives while I was jumping in the air.
Awesome.
I was like, sweet, this game is awesome. That was the very first thing I did, just instinctively.
wrapping up round 2, after you finally complete that elevator level, which was a nightmare for me, I really like that second boss.
Yeah, and so the elevator level, you can actually jump and throw shuriken in, and the game will spawn them as they come down the vents. So whenever you jump up high enough and throw a shuriken at the right place, they die instantly.
Oh, when
And you
you're
can
ready,
wall
when you're
jump all
riding
the
it
way
up.
up it. You can also wall jump all the way up it. And then the brain boss is really fun. He swaps the controls of the game from left to right and right to left, so you have to learn how to wall jump and double jump out of his way. It's a really good boss fight.
And that was one of those mechanics that it's such a simple mechanic, but it really just throws you for a loop every time. Because all of a sudden you'll be charging right, and then you'll just start running backwards when he can change it. And this was game I was playing that, and I remember there was one moment I was like, "Why is this throwing me for a loop so hard? Like all I got to do is just switch my thumb the other way."
Yeah, I think anytime the human brain is confronted with something like that, people just kind of shut down. I mean, I specifically remember like Metal Gear when you had to put your controller into slot 2, and everyone,
Psycho Mantis.
yeah, and everyone up to that point is like, "Why is this not working? Why is he screwing me over so hard?" You know. So I think getting the control swapped on you is certainly something like where it's just like, no, I can't comprehend.
Yeah, the inverted control mechanic was really cool, but I also liked the on-screen effect.
Oh,
where
yeah,
I felt like the Sega Genesis was really kind of showing off there because that was something you could not do on a regular Nintendo.
Now, is the Sega Genesis, was that comparable to the regular Nintendo, or is that comparable to the Super Nintendo?
The SNES came out around the same time, I think.
Yeah, I always compared them to the Super Nintendo. And that little wavy background thing kind of reminded me of Link to the Past when you're using the mirror.
Final Fantasy at the time, I think, did the same kind of, and then they would put you into a fight.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. It took me a second. The noise didn't really key me in there.
Oh, sorry.
All good. So round 3, it starts off with another factory level, and we're back to side-scrolling action. And in the background, it looks like there's a bunch of maybe clones or something going on, something growing in these giant green vats. And this is where the enemy variety has its first change up, where we have these flying brain-like creatures and these monsters that look like the Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. I was gonna say Swamp Thing. Yeah, for the listeners out there without a visual, they look just like Swamp Thing.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
And then the brains look like Krang from Ninja Turtles.
Bugman.
A legit Ninja Turtles reference in here.
Yeah, I hated bringing it back around to it, but you're absolutely right. They do look like Krang. The second part of this level, where you're kind of trudging through the sewer portion of it, I didn't realize until on a second playthrough, because this boss gave me my second game over, that it's actually the boss in the background that's homing in on you.
Yeah, he's shooting his giant laser beam at you, which you will see when he's right in front of you.
Which I still did not quite figure out the mechanic for that, because so for everybody listening, that the boss is in the background, and the background's doing the parallax thing, and there's this green reticle that's rectangle. There's a green circle trying to hit you, and if it locks on you, I can't say
the rectangle.
Reticle.
Reticle. If the reticle, so this is the part I couldn't figure out. So if the reticle touches you, you're pretty much screwed, right? Like there's no, because no matter, like when that thing touched me, I couldn't, no matter which way I jumped or double jumped or tried to juke this thing, I could not get the reticle off me.
You can. You have to sprint forward and jump. It makes you keep going forward in the level.
Okay.
So if you dash and double jump and dash and double jump and air kick, you can get out of that reticle.
Because basically I just avoided, the only way I got through it was just by just not letting it touch me at all.
Well, that works too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you can take a couple hits from it, but I mean, like it
you up and pushes you back for sure.
Yeah.
Into like the crabs and stuff.
Yeah, those centipede bug-looking things that reach up and grab you, massive pain in the ass.
Yeah, they're dung beetles. Get it?
Oh, that is what it is.
Yeah, they're dung beetles because you're running in poop. For everybody, so like when we say that you're in the sewer, you are literally in a sewer, but it's not like the Ninja Turtle sewer. This is a brown muck everywhere.
You're running. Not a happy fun sewer. It's a poop.
This
sewer.
is literally poop-filled sewer everywhere. You're surrounded by globs of brown poop, like 1993 cartoony, comic booky looking poop everywhere. And they can't call it anything else. They I read the description like in the somewhere it's saying like this was the sewer that for the chemical plant that was disposing of its toxic waste in these sewers. No, it's poop. They have the chemical plant employed a lot of people and they all pooped a lot while they're at work. And this sewer is full of poop.
I think
and
it's a lot of like protein sludge too from all the brain monsters.
Yeah, and then the final boss that we're approaching is a giant poop monster.
He sends out he literally sends out his hand and goes farts at you before he sends it out.
Yeah. I mean,
so this was a very memorable boss.
Yeah.
You know, outside of the aesthetic, I like that the attacks were varied and they were interesting. And this is the part where I came to you guys and I was like, he's impossible. I can't beat him. And it was at this point that you guys told me about the ninjutsu that I had no idea about, because you guys were like, "Oh yeah, just use the fire and kill him that way." And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
And then we were like, "Sean, do you see that little one at the top of your screen that looks like a lightning bolt? If you hit pause, you can cycle through it for powers."
No. Also, what made this boss unique, besides being made out of poop, is that this was the first boss, because the very first, like all the bosses previous to this were kind of your size. This is
this is like the first big dude.
Yeah, this is the first big dude. I mean, his hand is bigger than you, and then his giant poop face is the size of a house, and then he has like a giant laser beam that he like a shuriken, like Kamehameha, whatever, Dragon Ball blast that comes out of his mouth, like. This is the first huge boss in the game.
That's a really good point. And up until this point, we haven't seen anything kind of fantastical, or I don't even know how to describe it, where you had a very realistic settings. And while a sewer is realistic, but this is kind of where you had this factory of monsters, and then you have this crazy boss.
Things go off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, but before this, you were fighting a bunch of boring soldier dudes with machine guns in a forest and then in a factory, and then the boss, you fought like some samurais, and then it kind of got weird with the brains and the and then it just got real weird. Yeah, it got real weird real quick in this level or stage or whatever they're called.
Not only did you guys inform me about the ninjutsu, but this is where, Cory, you sent me that link to the PDF, and I should have had, the inclination to pull it up myself, but this is where you send it to me, and that's where I read about the different type of ninjutsu, and I also read about the game's backstory, which is very short. It only consists of 3 paragraphs, and I read about all the different kind of moves that you have, because I was only accidentally doing that jump. What? How do I say it?
The air kick.
Yes. That kind of knife spam.
Oh yeah.
The shrink and throw.
Yeah, I thought that was just maybe every so
Accidental.
many throws. Yeah, I was doing it on accident. Didn't realize it was like a mechanic that I could do for myself. So, do you guys have anything? You guys have anything more about this round before we move on to the next?
This is the sewer level.
Yeah, it's the end of the third fight.
Well, yeah. Once again, you can, if you have the power up, you could keep throwing it into his eyeballs, shurikens, or you can jump like air kick him and then wait to time it correctly and hit it with your sword again.
See, now I found out. I watched I looked up a no hit strategy for this boss.
Yeah.
And because in this level you can actually get. I think you could get 2 of the ninjutsus.
Yeah.
And if you
could get a ton of them, generally speaking, in levels.
Yeah, and if you as soon as he comes out, you can blast him with 2 of the fire ones right away, and he pretty much you can down this boss before the first time he tries to.
How do you think I beat it as a 9-year-old?
Oh,
there it is.
Lots of practice.
No, shoot genjutsus at him. This guy.
Yeah, dude, I could not imagine playing this game at 9 years old.
Oh, it was hard. It was totally hard.
When everybody, like, old people talk about how kids don't know, like everyone makes a joke about games were so much harder when we were kids. They were. Replaying this playing this as an adult, like, this game was hard.
Yep.
You kids with your Halo 4s, you'll never understand the power of ninjutsus.
Moving on. So, round 4, Destruction, we have a brand new environment where we're now on a jet ski, and I was a little disappointed because...
In clean water, I should add. You get to clean all that filth off you.
I was a little disappointed finding out that it's in the manual that you're going to end up riding a jet ski. And if you guys hadn't sent me that link, I wouldn't have looked at the manual and wouldn't have spoiled it for myself. As a kid, maybe this is a question I should have had for you. If you can remember, Kyle and Cory, did you guys ever feel that you were kind of spoiled a little bit about the game because you saw that he's riding a horse and he's also riding a jet ski?
I do not recall learning about it prior to seeing it. So
the dope shit is the music in this level. The entire level. The next level is it's like the oil tanker level, and this one has you fighting a submarine at the end of it that comes out of the ocean.
Yeah,
it up. It's dope as. This level was one of my favorite levels as a kid.
And it also introduced like mech suits, like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Pretty sweet looking mech suits.
There was a little bit of confusion, at least on my part, where I felt the game didn't really convey the hazards well. In round 2, you're riding on the horse. It gives you that flash or that warning symbol that you have to jump over those barriers. And they do it again in this level because there's these mines, but before the mines, you had that ramp.
Yep, and the ramp makes so you can jump off the ramp at certain times and get extra lives and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I thought the ramp was the hazard.
Okay.
So I was jumping over it and then landing on the damn bombs.
I did that the first time until I saw. I'm like, oh wait, there's power-ups up there. And then the next time I did that, I hit the ramps and.
Yeah, I figured it out pretty quickly, but I felt that maybe it was something that the game could have conveyed a little better.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe I'm
they
just
could have put
old
the
man
ramp.
now.
They could have put the ramp after the bomb, maybe, but
I think this was one of those the cases like in 1993. They knew kids were going to be having to play this game 90 times before they get to the end. So
this was still also the era of we want your quarters. So people were still trying to break that habit of making things like impossible.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Speaking of the surfing the level, what game did this remind you guys of?
Ninja Turtles.
There you go.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Oh, Chris.
Sorry, I just had to throw it in there.
All right, so you
in
beat the shooty man.
The shooty man.
Yeah, at the end of the water.
We
he comes out of the water.
Yeah. Oh, he was so easy. I didn't even remember him until just now. But after you beat him, you go right back to another factory level.
Mm-hmm.
Where
it's like the oil tankers.
Yeah, it's got a pretty diverse level layout. and it doesn't seem like there's any one set path to it.
Yeah, right. But there is at the end of the day.
There is.
Well,
Okay.
but there's also a bunch of hidden stuff. Like if you take the high road, there's like all the extra lives and power ups are like in the air.
Yep, you can get bonuses if you learn how to kick the crates below you and then wall jump off of them onto the platforms. They taught you that technique in like the first level, I think.
Do you feel that this game does a good job of teaching you for things early on? Does it do a good job teaching you early on for things later in the game?
Yeah,
I
think so.
Yeah, I think they lay a lot of the groundwork. I don't think they spell it out for you. So if you're not like cognizant of the things that are happening, I think you miss a lot of stuff. But if you are like playing through multiple times or kind of paying attention to like the little, Easter eggs, I think they do eventually kind of lay those breadcrumbs for you to find out all that stuff on your own.
Like
that maybe be part of it. Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
For instance, in like the first cave level, you can jump over a pipe, and if you don't land, or if you land in the correct way, you can see there's a crate to the left of me that I can't reach anymore. And you have to learn how to, and then next time you play it, there's that crate. I'll land on this side of the pipe and then low kick it and then wall jump over to where I need to go. And that gives you an extra ninjutsu in that level. So especially in this level here, the oil tanker kind of deal, there's lots of high parts that you could put your knife into and keep going up and up and up. And then if you go all the way left again, you'll find more extra lives and ninjutsus.
I think a big part of this is that you guys have so much more experience with the game that a lot of these things that I feel weren't really kind of spelled out very well, maybe they're a little bit more second nature to you because you have that muscle memory going back to these games. Maybe you just saw them so many times that you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Well, yeah, one of the other things. Sorry, cut you off, Chris.
No, you go ahead.
One of the other things I think is, you're playing this now and the modern day and everything. I don't know how much of it is you just trying to get through the game so you can talk about it, and how much of it is you like really trying to absorb everything. Because I remember as a kid, I'm like really on the lookout. I'm kind of like, exploring these zones and everything else. And like as an adult, I'm just like, I got to get through this so I can talk about it again.
I was going to say, like, this was also came out in the time where, I don't know about you guys, but I was lucky if I got one new game every year. So when I did get a game, you played it
out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to play, you play the snot out of it, and you do develop muscle memory. And you get to know. So I mean, just like everybody can pop in the first Mario game, and know exactly how to get to warp tunnels and know where all the invisible bricks are and all that stuff. And that's stuff that nobody's going to get on their first playthrough.
Right? If you
playing it 100 times,
to a new player, they're going to miss 90% of the secrets in Mario.
Mm-hmm.
And they still programmed them in there and made sense of it.
Yeah, and this is just one of those. I mean, I just came from that era where you didn't play a game one time through. You played it over and over and over and over because you're a bored kid and, you got nothing better to do.
And it's necessarily impossible to beat it on the first try.
Yeah, for sure. Like, this is not like modern day game where, it might take you,
7 hours or so.
Yeah. I was gonna say 30 hours to beat a game.
Okay,
but you play
sure.
it one time. You play it one time through, and then you're done. You move on to the next game.
Yep.
Like this game is brutal and punishing, and you're gonna play it over and over and over.
And Cory, I think that you're right about that. I'm not necessarily going through and trying to absorb every little bit that I can. I do try to give it, that eye of appreciation and look back on these games through that lens of today, where we have a little bit more knowledge of how games work and the mechanics. Right. But you're right that I am also trying to get through this game because it is a little bit like homework, and I'm trying to work on games for our future podcasts. So it is a little bit of me maybe rushing through it. and
Well,
not appreciating
you
the
know,
game.
there's nothing wrong with that, but like as a kid, I'm playing this and I'm doing this, the first level 4 or 5 times because, you're 6 years old or whatever. And as you're playing, you're going a little slower because you're trying to figure out what's going on and you're kind of taking in your surroundings. And when you jump up in the first level in the caves, you realize you can hang on the ceiling. And then you realize that there's a gap above you in the ceiling. And then if you figure out how to get into that gap by using the wall jump, you find an extra life up there and an extra ninjutsu. And like as an adult, like you're just kind of going, okay, well there is the gap in the, the pit or whatever I have to get over and just keep moving. So like I don't think I would have caught that as an adult. I would have just kept going. But since I have played this 70 times, like I knew it was up there. I knew where to go get it.
I went right past it.
Exactly. And there's 2 of them. Like there's one in the first half of the cave and there's one near the end before you get to the boss.
I got excited about like in the caves, just walking around the ceiling reminded me of being Beast from X-Men.
Yep.
Oh, that's a really good game. But talking about this game, let's hit up this this last phase where we have this boss, and then let's take a little break because this section's going on a little longer than I anticipated. But I really like the discussion we're having.
I can't remember what section are we on right now.
I can
We're
explain
4.
it next.
We just got through 4, or at least the first half of 4.
Yeah, so the boss of round 4 has that 2-phase part where the first is that submarine that comes out of the water that is really easy and isn't a challenge at all. And then the second phase is where this kind of mech flies out through the air and it just drops these mechanical arms into the ocean and pulls out these pieces of machinery where it just attaches extra pieces to take you on.
Yeah, it goes fishing for extra guns.
I thought that was a really cool concept that, in my head canon is that they're like, okay, he's gotten to this point, so we need to up our ante and bring out the big guns.
Yeah, stuff gets serious.
But
you can still hit him like 4 times with the shuriken. He can't die though.
Yeah, that happens with a lot of
Don't worry about him.
yeah, after you guys told me about the ninjutsu, like I saved them for all the bosses, and
That's exactly what I did.
that's how I beat this game.
Yeah. So yeah, all right. I'll not explain later until later.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll finish up rounds 5, 6, and 7 of what it's like replaying Shinobi 3 today. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that break. We're going to go ahead and finish up rounds 5, 6, and 7 of this game. So round 5, Electric Demon. This level starts off with some amazing visuals where we have the red and orange flames of the burning forest giving off a very surreal look of the background.
Why is the forest burning?
I don't know. I don't really understand the path that this game is taking. Because you're just kind of going from forests to caves to factories to oceans back to factories, and
you're tracking down the ninja lord.
Yeah, I got it up until this point because like you start in the forest and then you're like breaking into the you're taking the caves to sneak into the factory, and then the factory leads you into the toxic waste disposal system. Because I don't think they actually call it a sewer, like I mentioned earlier.
No, I don't think
they don't call it a sewer and poop, but that's totally what it is. And then you follow through the poop, and then sewers, like we learned in Finding Nemo, all sewers lead to the ocean, and then you're out in the ocean, and then all of a sudden you're in a burning forest. What happened?
So I really like the aesthetic of this level a lot. There's lots of like oil tankers and bombs and is there a no, yeah, it's just oil. It's like gas tanks and stuff that you run around. And you're throwing around fire and they're shooting around mortars that are blowing up behind you. And I think it's just they are trying to blow you up before you get there, and now you're here. You know what I mean? So they like burn the forest before you're here. That's always kind of how I thought about it.
That's fair. I could buy that. I felt that even though they kind of recycled the enemies from round 2 or 2-2 specifically, the enemy placement makes for a very challenging run, but it's not unfair. There's not a lot of enemies kind of spawning off screen and shooting at you.
Mm-hmm.
That is one thing that I think they do pretty good, is that they wait until the enemy is there for you to see before they start shooting.
Yeah.
It's also kind of reminiscent of the very first screen where you could grab onto the trees to jump up. This one does not have any trees. They're all on fire. So you're focused on the guys below you, and they're shooting you with bombs, and they're shooting you with machine guns, and you've kind of learned how those enemies work up to this point in the game, and you can't just run super fast across the ground because the ground underneath you blows you up and hurts you if you stand in one place too long. It's an awesome level. Yep. And even on the top of the tankers, you step on them and they blow you up if you stand there too long.
That's something I actually had in my notes, is that unless you've played this game a lot like you guys have, sprinting through this level is incredibly punishing.
Oh, yeah.
So I felt that I was kind of forced to creep around. But like you mentioned, if you do move too slowly, those containers are going to explode and eventually kill you. So I was kind of trapped between trying to get ahead to see what's going on without getting just blindsided by like 3 or 4 bad guys.
And also, didn't this level also introduce the guys with the mortars too?
Yeah,
Instead of just machine guns?
So they can hit you when you're jumping up in the air.
Yeah. And that's, oh man, there's one spot of this where you had to, it was like the little staircase of containers that were exploding. And when you finally get to the end of it, you go to jump off and there's a guy waiting for you with a mortar. And my instinct over and over was to jump and do like a down kick on him. But if you do that, he just shoots you right midair with a mortar every time.
Every time.
Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of the learning the level kind of deal.
Yeah.
So the mini boss at the very end of this is another mech who's not very difficult at all. He's just kind of
he has a shield.
Yeah.
But you throw shurikens at him and he has a shield and it bounces off of the shield.
And with the jump kick mechanic, he's just easy.
But then you hit him with the jump kick because you're a Shinobi master, are you not?
I was not. I was still a Shinobi novice.
This boss felt more like a mini boss rather than a boss.
Every half boss. So there's always 2 aspects to the level. They always do the intro and then the half boss and then the actual boss. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's true. Was that so? Is this mech? Yeah, so this would be the half boss.
Mm-hmm. He's more of the boss you see in the sea level with the gun and the. Oh no, I'm sorry. The sea level guy has the shield. This guy does not. So he's like the boss in the previous level, but easier.
Dashes back and forth, doesn't he?
Yeah, he dashes back and forth.
He dashes back and forth, but I thought he could also block shots. Or am I misremembering?
No, I think. Oh, okay. I don't recall exactly because it's one of those that I just hit him with like 6 or 7 sword attacks and win.
Yeah, you blast him right away.
Well, after you do beat him, you move into 5-2, which is another factory. But this one I really, really liked because you now have a new twist on the level design where you have to use those bombs, which were previously just kind of a big FU, for opening up these crates. But now these bombs are incorporated into the level design that you're required to blow them up so that you can get to newer platforms either above or below you so you can progress through the level.
Oh, and what Sean's talking about, everybody, is that in this game, to get power-ups, you have to break crates. And in some crates, there is a bomb that has a 5-second counter on it. Yeah, it's a trap bomb where they either have a 5-second counter where they blow up after 5 seconds or they blow up proximity.
Or you can
If-
shoot them.
if you touch them.
Yeah, it's the same thing. If you crack them open from a distance, or if you open them and then get away from them immediately, they'll have a 5-second countdown. If you get closer to them, the timer will speed up and basically go off immediately.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this level specifically incorporates them to open up new avenues to progress through the level.
It's got a destructive environment.
And it's really tall. The level is really tall.
Yeah.
So you're mostly jumping up and running platforms the entire time.
In the manual, it's called a time bomb. It says this is designated to detonate on a count of 5, or as soon as Shinobi gets close to it. Watch out.
There you go.
There you go.
One visual aesthetic that I really liked in this level is kind of similar to round 3, where you can see the boss in the background. In this factory, you can see a lot of what looks to be like these Mecha Godzillas or Dragon Zords, if you want to talk about Power Rangers, kind of being built in the background. And so I didn't realize that until my second playthrough, but I thought that little bit of foreshadowing was a really neat way to kind of tie in that level.
Mm-hmm.
And can we talk about how cool that boss was?
Yeah, we can talk about how cool the boss was.
That's another big
boss.
Can I go Afan as a side once? This level is very much like the elevator and stuff. It's very vertical, and it opens up certain avenues if you blow up the right boxes. And I can talk about it in the next level because it's the ghost temple later, which forces you to go certain ways. So yeah, go ahead.
So all my notes say for this boss is just Mecha Godzilla with multiple exclamation marks. Kind of replaying it, I had a little bit of trouble with this guy until I learned that you can, once you knock his head off, that you can just kind of jump between both of his arms and attack him on both sides, and then just dodge those 3 projectiles that they shoot.
So this is the first boss where you can't just run at its face and hit it with the sword slash. You actually have to use shurikens the entire time and use the falling crates to shoot him in the eyes and then shoot him in the nipples.
So why are there crates falling? Does anybody really understand that? Like,
he's
the
super
factory
heavy.
Is he like destroying the factory while you're trying to beat him? I didn't understand that part.
Yeah, it's cool.
I don't think he's meant to be active in this building, so he's just kind of tearing the place up.
That makes sense.
Because it is like a big storage facility. You can see more of him in the background, but like he's also just kind of like shooting off giant lasers and his fire breath weapon, and you can hear
super
his
heavy.
Yeah, you can hear his big like when he walks around. He's making the big crashing noise. So I don't think he's really meant to be, in this industrial facility swinging his giant robot hands or anything.
Now, you were talking about not being able to use iframes to beat this boss.
I'm sure there's someone out there. I couldn't do it though.
The only way I actually beat this boss was I did the electricity ninjutsu.
Okay.
That makes you invincible for...
I apologize. Whenever I say you can't do it without doing this, I mean without ninjutsus. I've tried to beat this game without ninjutsus myriad times now. It's
that's
really
one thing
super hard.
we haven't brought this up at all, that there's a point system to this game.
Yeah.
And that by not
points
using
mean
your
nothing.
ninjutsu, you actually get more points at the end of the level.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
little
You
bonus.
get like a $5,000 credit or whatever it is.
Yeah. But the points, I mean, unless it's just bragging rights for your friends,
Right,
the points
that's
don't
all.
do anything.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
That's
the
what I'm
high
saying.
score of a Sonic level. It doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
Mario.
And say like, yeah, Mario had a point system that like, did anybody?
No, there's no real benefit to him. But yeah, like there is like a big bonus for doing this without ninjutsus. But honestly, after like level 3, I don't know who's beating
If you call
this game
hating
without 'em.
yourself a bonus, then yeah.
Or
that's
Or if you're
that's the
trying
bonus
to
for-
if you're trying to get on some list on Twitch for being a champion.
Well, back in the day with Nintendo Power, they encouraged you to take your high score photos and then send those in, via Polaroids and all that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Okay, other than trying to get into Nintendo Power magazine, though.
I say for
I tried
one
to
of
get
these
into
games-
Nintendo Power.
one of these upcoming games that we do that have one of these stupid point systems. We need to have a competition between the three of us. You know,
You
like,
said
who
that
can
like
beat it?
3 times that we're gonna record our scores and stuff, and we've yet to do it.
Well, we're going to.
Okay,
How about
well, I
yeah.
believe it when I see it.
I've actually got the point score on mine because I have it on my 3DS. So I took a save state right at the very end of the game.
All right, well, whatever Sean's is, mine is 5 points higher.
Ah, makes sense. So after we beat Mechagodzilla, we move on to round 6, which is labeled
The worst
traps.
round ever.
No,
Absolutely. It's a new environment. That's great. But this level sucks. And I know that you disagree.
yeah, you gotta learn how to go through it.
You have to absolutely master the double jump if you have any hope of beating this level. And this is where I got my 3rd game over.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who owned this title, I also hate this level. So,
Honestly, so do I. Don't worry about me. So it starts out with you falling down an avalanche of rocks. That's how it starts.
and there are a bunch of jerks with bat wings that smack you around as you go.
And throw shurikens at you.
Yeah.
And you have to be on the correct rock after the boss. Oh, right before the boss fight. Otherwise, you die. And you can't wall jump off the cliffs at the sides because you'll die there
Too far
too.
away.
Yep.
I used the ninjutsu where you have the extra high jump.
Don't do that.
That-
You get up.
That's how I got through this level.
Oh, okay. I remember. I think I did that when I was a kid. And went, oh, that doesn't work, and died.
Well, after dying multiple times because I cannot figure out this double jump, I was like, okay, there's got to be an easier way. And so I actually watched a speed run where one of these guys is using that ninjutsu to jump higher, and that's how they went through. So that's how I just patterned myself off that because it was so frustrating trying to get through that level.
And the boss fight is on 3 falling rocks, and if you fall through the middle, you die instantly. And he swings swords at you, and he shoots shurikens at you. It's like, oh, this.
But he's a very easy boss.
Oh, for sure. But it puts all those elements together, and you have to learn them. Did you learn them? Yay, nice. You beat the boss. Good job.
Yeah, this is where I start getting the Castlevania vibes that I don't like, which is what I was complaining about when we played Castlevania, is where like if you give me a game where I screw something up and I just get mercilessly slaughtered for it, I'm not having fun anymore. And that's what this mini boss is. It's like this jerk. He's got angel wings and he poofs out like in a big old pile of feathers, and like he'll slap you. And if you screw up, like trying to transition between those platforms, you can just plummet to your death, and it's not fun. And this is where I start, bleeding into that area of me not having a good time.
Okay.
Yeah, 6-1 was definitely not fun. I felt that 6-2, what you have been calling the ghost house,
Ghost Temple. Japanese
Temple?
Ghost Temple. Yeah.
I thought it was a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
pretty frustrating at times.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually forced me to make a hand-drawn map like I used to do as a kid.
There you go.
Because I was like, okay, these damn doors keep bringing me back to the beginning, so I just have to make a simple drawing of which ones are okay, which ones are not okay, and it took me a very long time to get through this level.
When I think I replayed this 4 or 5 years ago, I think, I knew the exact path to take, which is awesome to me in the sense that my brain, when I was like 13 years old, when I last played it, remembered
Created a
exactly
core
how to
memory.
do it. Yeah. Oh, it's the middle one. It's the top one. It's this one up way up here. Okay, perfect. And you go fight the boss.
Yeah, I mean, as children, this ghost boss that we're talking about here,
He's the worst one in the whole
yeah,
game.
this is definitely the one where we stopped playing a lot. Like, this is the zone where it's like, okay, yep, we got here, we died, time to go outside,
Mhm.
This boss, I didn't feel that they were very memorable at all. In fact, I thought they were pretty forgettable. I had to go back through when I was writing up this outline, and I used the level select that's available through the DS or 3DS port because I couldn't even remember what the boss was.
He is a ghost that hits you on both levels and multiplies himself. And as a 13-year-old at the time who didn't want to use ninjutsu, it's it's super duper hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I also felt that the vast majority of the level where they're using that fog transparency, I didn't feel that it looked good. I understand that the look they're going for, but I thought that it kind of looked like crap compared to the rest of the game, which is really clean and looks great.
They're probably trying something that no one had done. I like the look of that. It's pretty straightforward.
Sean.
Yeah.
How did you enjoy everything up to this point?
So I have pretty mixed opinions about this game. I feel that the art style looks fantastic. I really like the gaming mechanics, and I'm sure that if I was playing on a actual controller or an actual system, I probably would have different feelings about it. But they were pretty frustrating for me, to get the hang of.
Okay.
I really like the variety that we have in the levels. The bosses are, for the most part, pretty interesting. The music is pretty so-so. There's some that I think are great. Yeah, I knew it was going to come up eventually. Some of the music is okay, but most of it I thought was just kind of bland to bad.
I don't think any of it's particularly bad myself. I think a lot of it is fairly forgettable. It's just kind of that like Japanese like like it all kind of bleeds together, but I do think there are some tracks on here that are a lot of fun. One thing about this particular level though, Sean, how did you enjoy when you were fighting the 6-door man and he went whoop 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 every time and threw a bunch of fans at you?
So I don't know if this is just a glitch, but I just crouched down in the top left-hand corner of the screen. And so whenever he would appear in one of the doors, I just fire off a shuriken and hit him. And I just barely moved from there.
Very stellar performance.
Chris, we were just talking about how we felt about round 6 to the Ghost Temple.
Yeah, I hated that place. And I didn't figure out until the end of it that you can use your ninjutsu to do the double jumps. Because there's that one spot where you have to like jump over the spiky walls, and that got me a lot.
Oh my god, the wall. I forgot about that.
At that point, the bosses were punishing enough to me where if you didn't go in with most of your life, you weren't going to beat the boss. So I kept purposely like going on the loop to fill my life up.
Oh no.
Yeah. You know exactly where I'm going with this. And I was punishing myself, and it was rough.
That sounds horrible.
But at the same time, this is the only way I could beat the boss, because I just like if I went to a boss fight with only half health, it was guaranteed game over. So
yeah, especially coming into the game like you and I did, where we don't know anything about it.
I'm pretty sure when I first played it, I died to that boss several times.
Oh,
3-4 times easily.
Like I said, as kids, this is definitely where the controller was either thrown or set down.
I think I lucked out, because I noticed that because you can hang by your hands on the platform in between the top level and the bottom.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when you're hanging in there, it's easier to dodge a lot of stuff. You can kind of decide. It's easier to jump up or jump down depending on what side he is, and then you can do the little air shuriken throw where like you can fan out your knives and hit him no matter where he's at. So I stumbled upon that trick pretty quickly. So it only took me a couple times to beat him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that even if I hadn't found that glitch, that the boss probably would have been pretty easy. But let's move on to round 7, the final confrontation. This is the last level of the game. We have yet another brand new environment, and this time we're on the outside of a giant flying fortress.
It's super dope.
Yeah, I thought that this was a really exciting level. Unfortunately, if you don't remember to, push up on the D-pad to grab onto the pipe, you are going to fall and going to die, and it's an instant death. And that got me more times than I want to admit, because it's not a very long section, and I still died a few times.
Yes, and this goes back to my core complaint about don't kill me for just screwing something up once.
Yeah, it's an elevator segment, and then it's a jumpy segment, and then they do another elevator segment, and you're gonna have to learn how to air kick a lot and hit stuff with your sword a lot, and occasionally, which I never did, block with a sword.
I don't even know how to block with the sword, and I've read that manual a few times, but I don't even know if it's in there.
I didn't learn that trick until after I was already done with the game, and I was like, "What?"
Yep. Oh, I can do that? That's really easy. I think it's like holding B and pressing back or something.
Oh, here it is. Defensive pose. Press and hold button B to assume a defensive pose. Press the D button to move while keeping up your defense.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
So
So also,
it'll dodge bullets and stuff.
and that would have been great in some of those auto-scrolling elevator levels.
Yeah, I think it would have made that game a lot less punishing if I would have known that.
But in this area that we're talking about, there's one part where there's these large plasma cannons that are just shooting at you. And these things at first tore me up. And it wasn't until I accidentally threw a knife and it destroyed one of the plasma balls that I was like, oh, I can destroy them. I can destroy the cannons. And then after that, it was just a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the very next section, the last level. It's going to be the hardest part. But the difficulty spike was insane. There's all these electric fences. There's some bottomless pits. And you just have to have incredibly precise platforming. And if you don't, then you're just going to keep dying over and over and over again. I think that, and this is one of the questions I had for you earlier, if you felt that the game kind of prepared you for this moment. I wish that there had been a part maybe earlier on in the level or maybe a different round where you had something similar to this, but if you fell off one of these poles, that there wasn't a bottomless pit. You would just have to replay it until you had mastered the mechanics of it.
Yeah, I mean, so like what you're talking about, everything's either like an electrified fence or it's some sort of like death trap below you. I definitely think that this level kind of turns the platforming up from a 3 to a 10. And it does kind of suck that they didn't give us anything really in between, because a lot of it's like combat oriented, and then the bouncing around and stuff is not necessarily an afterthought, but it's a lot more forgiving. And then you get to this and it's just like, oh god, oh god, oh god, and you're just hoping you have plenty of lives at this point to really practice it, otherwise you get to start the game over.
How many times did you get that far when you were a kid? Hit that
not
point
often.
And then did you start the game? Did you start the game over, or did you say, "Screw this, I'm going to go play outside"?
Oh yeah, a lot of it was like, we got here, we're out of lives, I'm getting up now.
Yeah, that was what had happened. I got to whatever it takes. Okay, I'm done for the day. That was a solid 45 minutes of my life.
The final boss, I felt, was pretty underwhelming, especially since we have some of these really memorable bosses, especially for round 3, the sewer monster. Now we have this final boss that looks vaguely similar to the, very early enemy.
Yeah, he's just a dude.
Yeah, he was just a nobody, pretty much. He was a bullet sponge, though. He had a ton of health.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time I played him, he crushed me. But my second go around, once when I had an idea of his moveset, I just spammed the jump kick and then used the suicide bomber and ninjutsu once I was down pretty low in health.
Over and over and over.
Yep, yeah. Because it would damage him and then refill my health completely.
Yeah, no, so, I would do that, smack him a few times until my life started getting down, and then do the suicide thing, and then rinse and repeat. And plus, especially when you knew it's the last boss, you're like, screw it, I don't need any of these lives anymore. Like,
exactly, like going for broke here, man. We're not screwing around.
And then as soon as I beat him, I immediately took a screenshot of it and sent it to you guys. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I was like, Cory, I'm done.
Yeah, you were very pleased with yourself. You're like, I don't have to do this crap anymore. We're finished.
Yeah. Also, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go play Ninja Turtles now.
Kyle, Cory, do you guys have any experiences that you remember of, your childhood memories of the final boss, or does playing it today kind of evoke anything?
Yeah, of course. This is one of my favorite games on the Genesis. Picking it up at Toys R Us and telling my mom, this is the one I want to play, and then her buying it for me. And then spending probably a whole summer trying to beat it.
Now, are you guys still within visiting distance of each other?
No.
On an airplane, yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer. Did playing this game recently make you like want to sit next to each other?
Oh yeah,
And-
for sure. For me, yeah. Although, yeah, Cory just went, "Hey, we're doing Shinobi 3," because I gave him a list of what ones I really like. He's like, "Yeah, Shinobi 3 is on the list. Yeah, we'll do it, man. Sounds good."
Because I'll admit there's a replaying like doing all this stuff. I didn't play a whole lot of retro games until Sean pulled me in on this podcast, and kind of, man, it's crazy how all these games, it really makes me just kind of
Yeah, there's
reminisce
people.
about
There's,
childhood.
yeah, there's
that's
thousands of
depressing.
people out there working on good video games for like 50 years, and you haven't watched them or played them yet.
But yeah, I mean, like it's just there's so many games that like I was like, oh man, I wish I could just go back with my old friends and play this. And I was just commenting to Sean and Cory just the other day. It's like, man, I wish I wish I could just take a week off and just sit on my floor like the good old days and play these old games over again.
Yeah.
This definitely evokes a lot of nostalgia, not necessarily this game, but just all of these games, playing them, as we do for the podcast.
Yeah, I had zero experience with this game growing up, but it's still like it just drips 90s, just the music, the graphics, the style, the theme, everything. Like it's just
It's very oven era. You kind of look
Yeah.
at it and you're like, all right, yeah, this is us as children again.
yep.
All
Are
right.
ninjas
Well,
still cool nowadays? I don't know.
Is what?
Are ninjas still cool?
Yeah, ninjas are cool.
not like they were, but let's take another break. This is going to be our last one, and then we're going to move into our final segment where we give our final thoughts on the game. Stick around. We'll be right back. Back with our final segment. So here I'd like to ask you guys, what are your final thoughts on the game? Is it something that you would recommend to somebody? Is it something that you're going to continue to play further on in the future? Chris, what are your thoughts? Did we lose Chris?
He was just here.
All right. Well, Cory, what do you think?
I enjoy this game. There are problems with it. We've kind of discussed at length the issues. The difficulty curve does tend to spike up very rapidly at the end and, double jump. But it's a childhood favorite. It's something that, like Castlevania, I said on that one, it's a punishing game, but it also, is well done and, kind of rewards you for sticking through. And I think Shinobi kind of falls in that same vein. And yeah, solid 7 of 10, 8 of 10 would recommend.
Kyle?
It's still going to be one of my favorite games of all time. So go ahead and play it if you're into side-scrolling ninja epics. Learn how to fight the bosses, learn how to do the platforming. It's very punishing, but at the end of the day, it's a fun game.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun game. My thoughts at first were pretty negative towards it, but playing through this game and then replaying it once I had a much better idea of the mechanics and how to play this game, it's definitely something that I'm going to point to people and say, check this game out, because the art style is fantastic. The gameplay is really solid. The boss fights are pretty memorable. But
I'm
for
going
me,
to point to this game and say never play it.
really.
Oh, look who's back.
So, Chris, tell us your thoughts.
Oh, I pretty much just the mechanics, the controls of the game ruined it for me. I love the art style, I love the level design, I love all that stuff, but the controls are so horrible that it just
Now, when you say the controls are horrible, is it all the controls or just the fact that you can't jump?
oh, I can jump.
Oh no, I don't think so. I saw a movie about that.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, I was glad that I beat it, but I'm never going back to it.
Sorry to hear that you're bad.
But also, I mean, I've got no childhood ties to this game or anything. Like I did love it, like the fact that it was so cliche '90s and stuff. It was, like you said, it's of the era and everything. But I'm not going to go back to it.
I will ask you: would you ever recommend this to someone that is trying out title? Okay, all right.
No, only if I wanted to be mean.
See, I think it's definitely worth a playthrough. Maybe not, dedicating the time to start to finish, but just checking out the first few levels. They're unique and varied, and they are easy enough that you should be able to get through them.
I'd recommend Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah,
well,
if
for
we're
you
going to talk about
listeners
Ninja
at home, I would just recommend that Chris gets good. So,
hey, I'm just glad I beat it. How many? I can probably say with pretty good confidence, 90% of people that played this game probably never beat it.
yeah, I think that's true of a lot of childhood titles, but yeah, this one in particular.
Definitely.
Yeah, it is a very punishing. I mean, it's definitely a good example of, hey, check out how hard games were when I was a kid.
Okay, so I think that wraps up this episode of Superannuated Starman. You can follow us at ReviewByte on Twitter. That's BYTE. You can find us on iHeartRadio. We have our own Discord, and I'll put a link in the show notes. Our next game is going to be a 2-for-1 where we play through both Mega Man 1 and 2, and we're going to talk about both of those games. Chris, Cory, thank you so much for continuing to do this with me. Kyle, thank you for taking time out of your day to come on here and talk about old video games. It's just fantastic to hear people talk about their childhood like this.
Hey, you got it, man.
And as always, you, the listener, thank you so much for checking us out. We have a pretty dedicated, small following, and we're going to try to get episodes out on a more regular basis now that the summer's come around, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. Chris, I'm sorry I cut you off. What do you got?
Oh, no, I was going to say, I can't, talking about just having fun. I feel like such a negative Nancy trash in the game like that. I did have a lot of fun talking to you guys about the game than I did playing it. Like it was a fun experience in my opinion. I don't want to say it a bad game. I don't want to call it a bad game anymore. I feel like it hurts some feelings.
No, I mean you can have an opinion. Everyone's got an opinion, and sometimes you're just wrong. But
it could have been such a great game. It really could have.
Listen, all I know is you were very hyped to beat it, and
oh yeah, I was so glad. It was a badge of honor to actually beat it, and I didn't have like a newer version with a level select or anything like that. I beat it the way it was meant to be beat, and it was
see, you
brutal.
get the flex on people.
Well, I beat it without the level select. I used it to go back after I finished it.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Thank you all out there. Until next time, this is Superannuated Starman. Have a great day.